Grazie, se intanto ci accomodiamo così andiamo avanti velocemente nella seconda parte del nostro incontro. Grazie, io direi di iniziare la seconda parte. Allora, purtroppo Carlo Petrini per motivi di salute, ma niente di preoccupante, non può essere con noi. All'ultimo momento ha disdetto la sua partecipazione. Mi dispiace molto perché avrei raccontato a Carlo Petrini, presentandolo, mi è già capitato altre volte di farlo, ma in questo caso gli avrei raccontato che lo avrei presentato confessandogli un furto, e ciò che avevo rubato un suo libro ieri sera nella camera dell'albergo. Carlo Petrini, Zuppa di latte, in cui, partendo da un sapore antico della sua giovinezza, anzi del suo essere bambino, si ricorda questa ciotola piena di latte, colorata da un cucchiaino di caffè. Non doveva essere caffè latte, era troppo piccolo per bere il caffè latte, era semplicemente del latte macchiato da un po' di caffè, in cui si inzuppava del pane raffermo e poi veniva mangiato, e lui ricorda questo sapore con grande gusto, anche proprio della memoria, quasi fosse una Madeleine proustiana. Bene, questo ricordo mi fa piacere perché ieri è stata una giornata, preparando questo incontro, in cui abbiamo chiacchierato con molti di voi durante la giornata sul tema dello spreco alimentare e sul tema di come lo spreco alimentare intervenga nella vera catena del valore che appartiene a ognuno di noi come persone fisiche, soggettive, ma anche come membri di una collettività. Sappiamo, l'abbiamo appreso questa mattina in maniera molto convincente, che ridurre lo spreco alimentare significa ridare valore economico, valore di senso, valore persino filosofico al cibo, in una visione che è stata definita più volte olistica.
In a vision which we have defined quite a few times as holistic.
Si facevano degli esempi di mancanza del valore, no? Noi abbiamo tolto valore al cibo, si diceva, e magari combattendo lo spreco alimentare riusciamo a ridare un valore di senso a quello che mangiamo.
Against food waste, we can give value back to what we eat, to what we buy, what we decide to eat. And so we started discussing about milk. Milk is a great paradigm to talk about food that has lost value. And so we discussed in front of panna cotta, which is made of milk, which, as you know, is very, very important in our restaurant. So while discussing coincidences, and so it's always interesting to come to terms with the coincidences. And then I went back to my room and I found this book, Zuppa di latte, so Milk Soup by Carlo Petrini. So that's very short. I read it very quickly, and so I stole it, but I read it. So if you want it, I can give it back to you. Since Carlo Petrini is not here, I will read just some sentences he wrote about the loss of value of milk, which we've discussed out of coincidence yesterday. So Carlo Petrini wrote, milk itself, without its values and qualities, has become a symbol of disruption, because imposing being produced at 35 cents for for a liter of milk isn't enough to pay back for production costs. And it's not a coincidence that dairies have started closing, and also we as consumers, we can no longer do something about that, because we pay that milk, a liter of milk, if it was skimmed and pasteurized up to killing its taste, more than €1 if they microfiltered it to make it last longer, if they added omega-3 or other elements which cyclically come back in fashion. Just take it or leave it. So this take it or leave it is the deep meaning of the title of today's meeting, because we have to love food, we have to give back value to food, and certainly to do that we have to learn how to do that. And Carlo Petrini might share the holistic vision of the university, but we have Nadia Tecco, whom I invite to join me on the podium to tell us what is a circular economy for food. Yes, I will spend just a couple of words because, of course, I wouldn't be as effective as Mr. Petrini. In any case, a circular economy for food. So since when we started working on that with Franco, isn't just a field of research in which we can think about how to implement circular economy in the food sector. It's something more. It's the idea of using food as a vector of transmission. We know that food is a great vehicle, and so starting from food we can think about our essence, our life, and can make us understand better the meaning of cyclicity. We are circular beings, but we've lost track of this circularity. And therefore, circular economy for food means to look at food and understand how to make energy, raw materials, processes and resources more cyclical, but also using food as a vector of communication. Due to the intrinsic power and the transformative power of food, we know that food production is a significant environmental impact, yet it can also be a leverage to reverse the trend. We know that food waste has been considered as one of the three key drivers to change climate, to influence and improve climate change. Because already in our houses, when we open our fridge and plan our shopping, we have a very large possibility to contribute. So the topic of food waste isn't just something we can discuss to feel less guilty, because we are all annoyed when we are deeply affected, when we cannot manage efficiently our resources, and maybe we will waste something. But it's something that goes far beyond, because it connects us with the meaning of things. And I'd like to go back to an example that Olaf Pacini gives, and when he talks about the refrigerator, he says that it should be used to make the life of food longer, so that you can preserve it for longer, and so you can manage the cold chain more efficiently. However, if we think at how we use a fridge, often we use it as a big cabinet where we put things inside at random, without not putting, sometimes not even putting products in the right places, not even considering the attributes and the functions of the refrigerators, from helping us preserve food. And now the refrigerator is just keeping our food, but in a very negative way, not efficiently. And therefore this shows very very well the impact of our food consumption behaviors. And so sometimes we manage food in the wrong way, like Douglas Master would say, for a zero waste restaurant, the refrigerator is the absence of creativity, and don't know what to do with something that is at your disposal, as you don't have enough time, enough creativity, and you are unable to connect today and tomorrow. And the connection between today and tomorrow isn't just about planning, but it's very instrumental to sustainability, because sustainability is intergenerational, and it's therefore merging today with tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, because today we have certain resources, and if we want to keep these resources for tomorrow, we have to understand how to manage them already today. So these are very daily issues, but they have certainly a greater, broader role that is also related to the future. So these are just a few hints, a few things that probably Carlo would also share with you, but that we can also discuss in the second part of our meeting, where we'll hear from Bibendum and the Municipality of Venice, that can make us understand, like we as individuals, as consumers, and as a member of the supply chain, and as a member of the public administration, we can tackle the topic of food waste. So food waste is also due to lack of creativity. That's very good. Servati Garabini has a great creativity. She's from Bibentum, and Gaia is the CEO of the company. Bibentum is a catering company, and actually it's a benefit company that is heading towards outstanding results. But most of all, she's a concrete example how also catering services, so that they have embraced a project called circular catering services, can change its own range of services. First of all, thank you all, and thank you for this invitation. I was looking around, and I can see all these faces, these pictures of important people, important personalities, and so I'm very honored to be here, because actually Bibento and myself are very unimportant in this big world of gastronomic culture. However, over the years we've understood that a small commitment also from a small company such as ours can make a difference. And in order for me to tell you what we've been doing over the years, I'd like first of all to tell you that we are, yes, a catering company. Certainly, I have also a few slides with me, based in Modena, the Emilia-Romagna, and for 23 years we have served a very complex and complicated market, that is to say the luxury market, because we have two important realities in our company, which are two separate departments that are in charge of two different things. But then when events are organized, these two elements are merged, because we offer food experience. Today many people talk about food experience, etc. But actually we offer a real food experience. Why is it so? Well, because what we do with our customers is to turn something into some tailor-made services. Because when customers talk to Bibentum and tells, I want to organize a big event, and I want that it reflects my identity, and so Bibentum prepares and designs food, as well as we design also the experience which revolves around food, that makes the brand of the customer unique and strengthen it at the moment of the event. What you can see here, you can see some pictures This is, for instance, the fashion world. For 15 years, we have been serving the largest companies. Some of them are Italian, others no longer are Italian, unfortunately. And also we design with them something that completes the event. And in this case, it's a fashion show, so we organize all the rest. How do we do it? Well, we follow the colors, we follow the materials to reinforce the image of the customer. This is Bulgari. This is the store, the boutique in Via Condotti. The opening was intended to explain about the changes in their style when they had the new CEO, and so they conveyed the message of this new style, and we organized this concept in particular. Then architecture. Tailor-made is part of our company. So this means that we design based on the suggestions of customers. In this case, we were in Venice. Where we had this big palace that was being renovated, and we transformed this with an artistic approach, and so everything that was served was aligned with the renovation of this palace. And also we often work at the Salone del Mobile. And so food becomes an integral part of a concept. And in this case, it was again a building site, so a renovation. And so food was turned into a communication tool. Actually, this is chocolate, bread, meat. And also we work in the automotive world, and this is we started 4 years ago. Some large companies such as Lamborghini and Ferrari started to perceive, they were wondering how to convey the notion of artificial intelligence, and so Bibento with also with some students from the University of Pollenzo who already from 2017 have joined us for internships, and some of them have even been hired. So the idea is to communicate the idea of artificial intelligence by communicating the innovative content in transformation processes, in cooking processes. And so we talked about hydroponic products, smoking, low temperature, which is one of the big drivers in many restaurants. And what do? We organize cooking shows. So we tell to the audience of the company, so through a cooking show, which isn't just cooking pasta, for instance, but we show what we do in kitchens. And for instance, when we talk about low temperature, we show the technical mechanism. And so people start to get interested because not only we cook well, but we show food also in a nice and enjoyable way. And then we have, for instance, the ceramic world, automotive, and also Google asked the Bibento in 2018 to join a very important event on AI. And so we started to interpret some of the messages that were coming from large companies, that is to say climate change, sustainability, then that we had to pay a great deal of attention to the reuse of materials, use of plastics, And at a certain point, we said to ourselves, very well, so the world of luxury is giving us some hints. That is to say, it's asking us, whom we are a small company, very tiny small company, to interpret their corporate messages. And therefore, we brainstormed and wondered how we can be competent suppliers to convey these messages. And so we understood that we needed a big hand, and that this is the reason why I'm here actually, because we understood that we had to have competent minds from the gastronomic standpoint that could teach us and show us the way, the right path to take to prove that a small catering company such as ours could truly do something different. And therefore, in 2018, we decided to change our bylaws, and in 2019 we decided to become a benefit company. And this is a statement, there is a statement from stakeholders, from partners, that we had to commit along a certain approach. And since I am the CEO, I ask myself, how do I explain what that now we have to become sustainable? What does it mean to them? And of course, I had a lot of managers and people graduated in business, and I also have experience in other sectors from food. And so I talked to the university and I tried to explain what we are, and it took a while for them to understand who we are, because we are a bit complex in the way we develop our other projects. However, then we started to conduct an analysis, an assessment, and we presented a project, which is the project of circular catering. And so they took us by hand and supported us. The first thing they did was to train our people, because I didn't have, I wasn't enough prepared to explain this to the staff. So I involved Professor Fazio, and we designed this training process. And the first time he came to the company, the first time we started to talk about evolution and circularity, and all our staff was looking at him as if he was kind of mad. But 3 years or 3 years later, with 2 years of pandemic, it's unbelievable, because now we are talking about something concrete. So we were awarded a regional tender that we unfortunately won in March 2020, when the pandemic hit. And that was a very tragic moment. And at that moment, the partners of the company decided, in any case, to forge ahead and to start investing. And of course, our turnover was zero, because actually our services were not needed, because events were all cancelled. And so the pandemic and events couldn't go together at all. And so we said to ourselves, fine, let's invest and let's transform the company while we wait to go back to business. And that was a moment of a big shock also internally. And I remember I held a meeting and I said, guys, it's not that we stopped to go for the luxury business and do cool stuff. Absolutely not. But we have to change the content. So each of us has to contribute. And there was a moment in which the company was on the brink of abandoning the challenge. But those who stayed actually stayed because they understood that from that moment on the project would change, so that it was not that we would serve different food, but that we would add a different content and therefore make the company circular. And so we started investing. So we started to invest a lot of money and transform all our production. And here we had a big hand on the part of the university. We started creating together circular menus so that we could go down to zero waste. Then we started teaching to people in the kitchen how to use the ingredients and how to think of menus whereby you don't just think of the menu for the customer, but you also think of any menu that is maybe sold at a second time with the leftovers. For instance, I make a great puree, potato puree, and of course I peel potatoes, but you don't throw away these potatoes skin peels. We use them for snacks. For instance, in events, if you think of large, so you have a lot of wine is left over. So there's a lot of wine that is being left over in big parties. And so we joined forces with Acetaia San Giacomo and we asked them, make a vinegar for us. And so we started to collect the wine at the end of our parties that was left. And at a certain point, we started making our vinegar and also, for instance, Parmigiano, which is at the basis of all catering services across the world. So what do we do? Actually, we use everything. Of course, we use the edible part, but even though the rind is edible too. So we reuse the rind. For instance, we grind the rind, so we pulverize them, and we use them as a basis for our breadsticks. And we do this with all the ingredients. At a certain point, actually, a competition started in wanting to achieve something unique. So I do something beautiful, but at the same time, I do it while going in the right direction. And therefore, this started to become a sort of game at the company, such then when the pandemic ended, because we had 2 years of pandemic while we did a lot of research and development. So at a certain point, we said, now we can restart. And how have we restarted? Because this is the big problem. Because, when you make these kind of investments, the investments are quite significant, and this has an impact on your prices. So we already had a premium price, given our skills also in the designing and organization of events. So here we were to tell our customers we were costing more because we started this circular project. I think this is a very tough thing to do still today, and it's still a big challenge, especially for our sales, because no one is ready yet to understand that companies that go through projects such as ours invest money, and to be a sustainable company from the financial standpoint, we need to charge different prices. And so today we are still brainstorming, and I can assure you that the steps we've made towards sustainability are becoming very, very tangible, because those who produce with important certifications, so think of the partners of Pollenzo are here for a very specific reason. So these partners, for instance, are potentially becoming our new market. However, our big question and big commitment is the effort to remain beautiful, good, sustainable, and with an affordable price for customers, or acceptable price for customers. And this is our future goal. Thank you. Thank you very much for explaining to us the value of circular catering. It's a great experience, and if I may,
Spesso mi capita di
I
osservare
happen more and more often
che quando
to see
un'offerta
that when
a tavola viene ispirata dal racconto della riduzione
food is
dello scarto
inspired from
viene percepita da sempre
waste
più
reduction,
persone come
is
un'offerta di
perceived
maggiore
more and
qualità
more
e di
as more
maggiore valore.
valuable
Questo
food
devo dire che ormai è
in
percepito
restaurants,
in una parte
and this
crescente
is
del paese,
perceived by a
quindi
growing number of
andiamo
people
avanti così.
in
Da
Italy.
un
So let's
catering
forge ahead in this
andiamo in
way.
una città
And now from a
importante come
catering, let's go
Venezia
to
per
an
sapere cosa
important
sta
city such as
succedendo lì.
Venice to learn what is happening there. Enrico Gavagnin, I invite him, or he's connected, I don't know.
Collegato?
He's connected.
Buongiorno, mi sentite?
So,
Eccoci
good
qua.
morning, I hope you can hear me.
Buongiorno, io sono
Very
Enrico
well.
Gavagnin,
My
sono
name is Enrico
consigliere
Garanin,
delegato
and
del
I'm
Comune di Venezia e consigliere della città
councillor
metropolitana di
of
Venezia.
the
Ecco, intanto volevo
Municipality of
ringraziare
Venice
gli
and the
organizzatori
Metropolitan City of Venice. First
per
of all, I'd like to
l'invito
thank
ed
the
devo
organizers
dire
for
che è un
their kind
privilegio
invitation.
essere qui
It's a
con voi
privilege for
oggi.
me
E
to
quindi
be here
porgo il
with us,
saluto anche
and I
del
bring you the
sindaco di
greetings
Venezia,
of
Luigi Brugnaro,
Luigi
alle
Brugnaro, the
istituzioni
mayor of
presenti e
Venice,
appunto agli
and to the
organizzatori. Ecco,
institutions
visto anche
present and
l'ora,
the
mi prendo l'impegno in
organizers.
questo momento
So,
di essere
given the time of the
estremamente
day, I'll try to
sintetico
be very
e
concise.
di tagliare
And
non solo le emissioni, ma
to cut
anche
not just
il mio
emissions, but
intervento quanto più
also
possibile.
my speech as much as possible.
Perché so
Thank
che in
you
questo
very
momento
much,
dovrò
because
partire
I
il
know
break
that you
invece, il
were
lunch break.
supposed to go to lunch at this time.
Proprio per essere
So,
estremamente
in order for
sintetico,
me to be very concise, I
vi
would
dico
like to
subito
tell
che
you immediately
il mio scopo
that
è
my
quello di
goal is
presentarvi
to
la visione del
present the
mondo
vision of the
sulla
world
sostenibilità
related to sustainability
dell'amministrazione pubblica
of
di
the public
Venezia.
administration of Venice.
Perché è stato creato un
Because we
progetto che
created
si
a
chiama
project
Venezia
that is
Capitale
called
Mondiale della Sostenibilità.
Venice
Ecco, per
World
arrivare a
Capital of
questo io
Sustainability.
parto tuttavia
And
dal
I would like
contrasto
to
allo spreco di
start
cibo,
from what we
perché
are
questo è
doing
il
against
tema
food
per il
waste,
quale
because
sono
this
qui
is
in questo
the topic
momento,
that we are
e vi
discussing
dico
at the
che sì,
moment.
il
And
Comune
I
di
can tell you
Venezia
that the
è
municipality
sicuramente
of Venice
sensibile in
is
tale
certainly very
ambito,
sensitive
non solo il
to
Comune di
this
Venezia,
topic,
ma anche
not
la Regione
only the
Veneto, e
municipality
vi
of Venice, but
riporto
also
solo
the
tre
Veneto region.
esempi tra i più significativi, uno nell'ottobre del
And I can give you three
2017,
examples. In
dove
October
l'assessore Marcato della
2017,
Regione
Councillor
Veneto ha
Marcato from
sottoscritto un
the Veneto
protocollo
region
d'intesa con
signed a memorandum
Federdistribuzione,
of agreement with
Federalimentare, la
Federdistribuzione,
Fondazione
Federalimentare,
Parco Alimentare, l'Unione
Foundation
Nazionale
Parco
Consumatori,
Alimentare,
per
and
condividere delle azioni
the
all'interno del progetto
National
europeo
Consumer
Life Food
Association
Waste Stand
to
Up.
for the
Nel maggio del
Waste Food
2021
Stand-Up
invece il Comune
Project.
di
In March
Venezia si impegnava
2021,
sul progetto La
Municipality of
Mensa che non
Venice
spreca, perché
worked on
l'eccedenza
La Mensa che non
alimentare
spreca,
non diventi
that is to
spreco,
say
attivando
the
la progettazione e la
cafeteria
sperimentazione di
with
un
no
modello di
waste.
recupero e di
And we
ridistribuzione delle
developed a
scuole di
project
Mestre,
to cut waste,
ridistribuzione
food waste in
naturalmente
schools
del cibo
of
avanzato per le scuole di
Mestre,
Mestre a
and we
favore di persone in
redistributed
situazioni di fragilità economica e sociale. È
food
andato
that
talmente bene
was
questo
left
progetto
over
che il gruppo Bosch
to
decideva, a progetto già
people in need.
iniziato, di
And
sostenere appunto tale
Bosch,
progetto
the
attraverso la
company, decided to
donazione di frigoriferi e
donate
freezer alla Casa dell'Ospitalità e alla mensa di frati
refrigerators
cappuccini di
to
Mestre e Venezia. Non ultimo,
Monk
nel marzo del
Monastery in
2022 il
Venice
Comune di
within
Venezia
this project.
patrocinava la
And in
pubblicazione del libro Noi e
2022,
il
we
cibo,
published a book,
edizioni nuovi 15,
Noi il
organizzando la
cibo,
consegna
we
del
and the food,
derume alle
and
classi di due scuole
we
elementari, sempre di Venezia, terraferma
shared
però,
this
Marghera. Obiettivo: promuovere i
book with
comportamenti tra
many
i ragazzi
schools.
in età
And the goal
scolastica
was to
che
promote
contrastino lo spreco
behaviors
alimentare
of students that can fight against food waste and for healthy diet. And actually, I could stop here. Otherwise, I would just keep listing individual actions and projects of our municipality and the Veneto region. And I would like to conclude by saying that we are definitely very aware of the problem. I would just like to add, just to share with you our vision of sustainability in Venice. I would like to add that the topic of food and the need not to waste it is also a political topic. And this is related to the broader topic of sustainability, meaning that you have to meet the needs of present generations without jeopardizing the possibility of the next generations to fulfill their needs. And so the big question that we ask ourselves in Venice, but not only, is to understand whether we can say that we have to understand whether we can leave a better world to our kids compared to the one that we received. In order for us to answer this question, the public administration of the municipality of Venezia and the Veneto region have undertaken a path together, so much that they implemented the project for Venice as a world capital of sustainability that has the aim to promote an environmental, economic, social town planning model for the sustainable development of the municipality of Venice and the Venice Lagoon. As you know, the Venice Lagoon is a unicum, not only in Italy, but across the continent as a whole, as it's so large that the municipality of Venice is the second municipality in Italy due to the size of its territory.
Solo che la maggior parte del comune di Venezia del territorio è formato da acqua, quindi dalla laguna di
The vast
Venezia.
majority of our territory is made up of water, therefore the
Nell'anniversario
lagoon,
dei 1600
and
anni della
therefore
fondazione di
the
Venezia,
16th
per dar vita a questo
100th
sogno, a
anniversary of
questo
the foundation
disegno,
of
cioè dove
Venice,
Venezia diventa un laboratorio a cielo
we have this
aperto
dream. We want
che
Venice to
guarda il
become an
futuro, un
open-air
luogo di
workshop that
innovazione
is
e
looking at the
d'avanguardia
future
culturale e tecnologica in chiave
to
sostenibile. Vi
promote
do solo due
sustainability
dati e
at
poi
all
passo
levels.
alle
I just give
slide.
you quickly a couple of
Per dare
figures
il motore a
because
questo progetto,
to
Venezia Capitale Mondiale della
promote
Sostenibilità,
this
è stata
project for the World
costituita una
Capital of
fondazione,
Sustainability,
appunto la
we set up
Fondazione
a
Venezia Capitale
foundation
Mondiale
which is called
della
Venezia Capitale
Sostenibilità, che ha
Mondiale
visto
della
la luce il
Sostenibilità
14
that
marzo
was
di
founded on
quest'anno,
14th
del
March this
2022.
year,
È stata
2022.
presentata quest'anno a Palazzo
So we
Ducale.
presented it at Palazzo Ducale in
Chi
Venice.
collabora? Collabora oltre alla Regione
And
Veneto e il Comune di Venezia, anche
the partners
collaborano anche istituzioni
are
nazionali e
the
aziende
region
private,
of
l'Università Ca'
Venice, but
Foscari,
also
lo
Ca' Foscari
UWAB di
University,
Venezia, il Conservatorio Benedetto Marcello,
the
l'Accademia di Belle Arti, la
Conservatory,
Fondazione Cini,
the
la
Accademia delle
Confindustria
Belle Arti,
Veneto
Cini
e altre
Foundation,
realtà di rilievo
Confindustria,
nazionali quali le
Manufacturers Association,
Generali, la
and also
SNAM,
companies
l'ENI,
such
Enel,
as
il Boston
Generali,
Consulting Group.
Eni, Boston
Il
Consulting
progetto,
Group,
oltretutto, ha
etc.
ottenuto il
And
21 maggio del
the
2021 l'adesione del
project
Ministro per la Pubblica
is
Amministrazione
under the
Renato
auspices
Brunetta.
of Renato
Ma
Brunetta and the
andiamo
Ministry
sul
of
tema,
Public Administration.
eccolo qua. Vedete,
I hope you can see
vediamo un po'.
my slides.
Volevo condividere con voi
I would like to share with you.
momento. Niente. Riuscite a vedere, no?
I don't know if you can see my slides.
Allora, condividi schermo. Bene. Ecco, ora vedete? Vedete?
Sì.
Ecco qua, Venezia, capitale mondiale della
So here it is,
sostenibilità,
Venice, World Capital of
14 marzo
Sustainability,
2022.
14th
Questa è la
March
data di presentazione
2022.
della
So this is
fondazione.
the
Perché
year,
Venezia?
the date
Perché
of the
Venezia è
opening of
unica,
our
è
foundation,
un'iconica, come
because
bellezza e come
Venice
fragilità, è
is
un luogo
unique
unico.
from
È un luogo
many
unico,
standpoints, so it's a unique
potete pensare,
place,
sapete benissimo
and
che
you know very
la
well
laguna, qualsiasi
that
tipo di
the
laguna,
lagoon, any
come
lagoon,
questa di Venezia, è
like
una
this
struttura
one,
assolutamente artificiale.
is
Le
an
lagune sono
artificial
destinate con il tempo o a
environment,
diventare
and
baie e
lagoons
quindi a rompere quella sottile linea di terra che li divide
are
in più parti
joined
dal mare,
to the
oppure
land,
ad insabbiarsi e quindi a
and
diventare terreno.
they
La laguna di
might
Venezia deve questa sua particolarità
inside plays a key
al
role.
grande lavoro fatto dai veneziani nel corso di
And,
questi 1600 anni.
of course,
E
the
quindi questa la
lagoon has
rende un luogo
changed
unico, iconico
dramatically
a livello
over
mondiale per la
these
sua bellezza,
60
ma
to
anche per
100
la
years.
fragilità del suo patrimonio
And
architettonico,
the
artistico e
the
naturalmente del
environment
suo
and
ecosistema
the
ambientale.
ecosystem is
Può
very vulnerable,
diventare,
and it
secondo
can
questa
become,
visione che si ha di
according
Venezia,
to
capitale
this
mondiale della
vision,
sostenibilità, può diventare una
as
piattaforma di ricerca, innovazione ed education
research,
proprio
innovation,
nella sua
and
interezza, perché è
education
una città che ha
platform,
già
as it
un'offerta
is
ed una presenza
a
accademica già
city
significativa. Pensate
that
che ha
has already
28.000
a lot
studenti
of
al suo
universities,
interno. Stiamo parlando solo di
28,000
Venezia,
students,
città insulare, città
only
d'acqua. Ha
in
un
the
grande
town of Venice,
potenziale di sviluppo
and it has a
ulteriore per la
great
sua
potential
attrattività
for
verso studenti,
development,
ricercatori,
to
docenti e
attract
start-up,
even more
soprattutto internazionali.
students,
Siamo
professors,
sede anche
startups,
dell'Università
and
Internazionale di
we also
Venezia, che è
have
una
the
rete
International
di
University of
22
Venice that
università
involves
di tutto
that
il
is in a
mondo.
network of
Ed è una sede
22
ideale di centri
universities
di
across the world,
ricerca e
and
di
it's an ideal
innovazione e
place
di
for
accelerazione sui
research
temi
and
della
innovation
sostenibilità.
centers
E quindi un
that
laboratorio
work on the field
vivente
of
sulla sostenibilità,
sustainability. So
un
it's
luogo
like a
ideale
living
dove
workshop.
sperimentare e
So
testare
it's an
nuove
ideal place
soluzioni
where to
sui temi
experiment
della
and test new
sostenibilità da
solutions
esportare nel
for
mondo. E
sustainability
ha
to
una
implement across the
visibilità,
world.
ultimo ma non per
And
ultimo, ha una
last but
visibilità e
not least,
risonanza a
its
livello mondiale.
visibility is global.
Io però volevo passare proprio
And
per mantenere la parola che vi
just to
avevo
keep
dato
my
di essere
promise of
estremamente
being
sintetico
very
sui temi,
concise,
sulle strategie e
I would
linee di
like
intervento
to spend a
proposte
couple of words
come
about
Venezia,
the
capitale mondiale
strategies
della sostenibilità. Perché?
for
Perché
Venice, the
lo
World
stiamo
Capital of
facendo.
Sustainability,
È di questi
and the
giorni
lines of intervention.
che abbiamo potuto aprire
Because we have recently
la prima,
opened
se fosse benzina, la prima pompa di benzina, il primo distributore di idrogeno.
the first
Naturalmente
hydrogen
l'abbiamo
station
aperto in modalità sperimentale, la
in
prima
a
pompa
testing area.
di idrogeno,
So the
quindi il
first
primo distributore di idrogeno per
hydrogen
autovetture. Ecco,
station for
la
cars,
strategia e le linee di intervento
filling station
proposte
for
sono
cars.
queste. Sono
So
queste le linee di
these are
intervento per il rilancio sociale,
let's say the
economico e
main
ambientale di
lines of
Venezia. Per quello che
interventions
riguarda la transizione
as
energetica e
to
sostenibilità
energy
ambientale,
transition and
vorremmo dar
environmental
vita al polo
sustainability.
idrogeno ed energie
We
alternative a
want to become
Marghera, con
a
ricadute sull'intera
hydrogen
regione
hub
Veneto. Quindi
for
fare di
hydrogen
questo
and
un hydrogen
alternative
valley e recupero ambientale
energies
ed
in
economico
Marghera,
produttivo di Porto Marghera.
so as to also
Un
recover from the
altro,
environmental and
sempre
economic
all'interno della stessa
standpoint
linea,
the
troviamo la
area of Marghera. Then
decarbonizzazione
we have
e
the
circolarità a
decarbonization
Venezia,
and
cioè i mezzi di
circularity in
trasporto,
Venice.
gli
So
impianti di riscaldamento e i rifiuti soprattutto
means of
per l'economia
transportations,
circolare. Per quello che riguarda
heating
i mezzi di
plants,
trasporto, voglio
and
solo
waste treatment for
darvi una
circular
notizia che
economy.
magari non sapete,
For means
già
of
il Lido di
transportation, you may
Venezia,
not
che è
know,
quell'isola
the
che
Venezian
divide
Lido, which
la
is
laguna
the
di Venezia
island
dal mare
that
Adriatico,
separates
ha mezzi di
the lagoon
trasporto che saranno
from
a
the Adriatic Sea,
brevissimo interamente elettrici.
will soon
Poi
use only
abbiamo
electric
sempre come linea sulla
public
transizione
transport.
energetico Pinisia, che è un
And
centro di
then we have a
innovazione ed
center
accelerazione
for
di start-up
innovation
sui
and
temi di
acceleration of
sostenibilità.
startups
E quindi
around the topic
Venezia
of
come centro di
sustainability. So
riferimento di livello
Venice
mondiale della formazione
should become a
accademica
reference
sulla
center also
sostenibilità.
for academic
Vorremmo
training
quindi
around
potenziare
sustainability.
ed aprire
We
anche
want to
nuove sedi
enhance
di
and open
fondazioni e centri di ricerca
new
sulla
research
sostenibilità
centers and
per
foundations
effettuare
around
eventi
sustainability
mondiali.
and
Qui
organize
il
global events.
sindaco
And
teneva
the
particolarmente a
mayor
proporre un evento
wants
mondiale
to
annuale sulla
propose a yearly
sostenibilità a
global
Venezia.
event about
E
sustainability in Venice.
un'altra parte che
And
riguarda
another
proprio la transizione
part that
energetica e
is related to
sostenibilità
energy
ambientale riguarda la
transition and environmental
protezione e la difesa
sustainability
dell'ecosistema
is the
lagunare che già
maintenance
si
and
fa,
defense
ma
of
che può
the lagoon
diventare
ecosystem.
uno
We are
strumento di
already doing
studio,
that,
di
but this can
analisi
become also a tool
e
for
soprattutto
studying
per
and
studi ed
analyzing these
analisi
topics,
di altri paesi. Già questo
also
avviene
involving
in
other countries.
parte. Il
This also is
nostro,
partially the
nostro
case
MOSE, che
already
sapete è
because
quel
our MOSE,
sistema
which
che
you know
protegge
is the
Venezia
system that
dalle acque
protects
alte, quindi
Venice
dall'entrata
from
delle
so-called
acque
high
in eccesso
waters
del mare Adriatico. È un
from
sistema
the
che viene
Adriatic Sea,
studiato da
is a
molte
system which is being
università
studied by many
internazionali
international
e
universities
da molti poli di
and
ricerca. Poi per quello che riguarda una
research
linea di
centers.
intervento
And then we
education
have a
e
line of
rilancio dell'offerta
intervention around
formativa, Venezia
education
si propone come
because Venice
città
wants to
campus
become an
internazionale.
international
Ecco,
campus
questo
city. This is
è
yet
un altro
another
dei
project,
disegni che ha
another
il nostro sindaco Luigi Brugnaro,
goals of
è
our
quello
mayor Luigi
di
Brugnaro,
delineare anche
because
a
he
Venezia
wants
il
to
modello Boston,
apply
ovvero
the Boston
sia
model in
attrarre
Venice,
quanto più
that is to say,
possibile
attracting as
studenti,
many
quindi
students as possible,
giovani
that is, young
all'interno di
people
Venezia
in Venice,
per diciamo ingaggiarli a Venezia, per farli
to
innamorare
engage
della
them
nostra
and to make
città,
them fall
al
in love
fine
with our
che una
city,
volta
so
terminati gli
that
studi
once
questi
they
studenti,
go back
questi
home,
giovani uomini, queste giovani
so
donne
that these
non vadano più via
young
da
boys and
Venezia e
girls
diventino i nuovi
may
residenti.
decide
Questo si
to
collega
stay
anche
and not
verso un'altra strategia
go
di
back home
intervento
and
che è
become
l'evoluzione
Venezia
verso un
residents,
modello turistico
Venetians.
sostenibile, quindi con una piattaforma
And then we
digitale
want
per
to
gestire e
evolve
candidare i
towards a
flussi.
sustainable
Avrete
tourist
letto negli
model,
ultimi
to have a
tempi, nelle
digital
ultime
platform to
settimane,
manage and
da quando
control
proprio
tourist
la
flows.
morsa,
You
diciamo,
have
del
probably
Covid
read
sembrava si fosse
that
attenuata, Venezia è stata ripresa
Venice
d'assalto proprio dai flussi turistici. Venezia
welcomed a lot
ha
of
un
tourists
limite, ha
after
una
the
capienza
pandemic.
che è
However, Venice has
stata
a capacity
individuata molti anni fa
which
nel
was
limite di
identified
350.000
into
presenze al giorno. Di più non ce ne
350,000
possono
people a day.
essere.
We cannot
Per fare
have more
questo
than
i flussi
that. And in order
turistici
for us to do
devono essere
that, tourist
calmierati.
flows must be
E
controlled.
quindi si è
And
pensato, e lo
therefore
si
we
sta
thought, and we
già
are
facendo in
actually
parte,
doing that
ma
in
deve
part,
essere
but
chiaramente un modello
this must be
turistico che sia
scaled up because
sostenibile e in continua evoluzione, si è
our touristic
pensato ad
model
una
must be
piattaforma
sustainable. So we thought of a
digitale
digital
per
platform
proprio
to
gestire
actually manage
il singolo turista e
the
quindi
tourists
l'insieme dei turisti, quindi i flussi.
and
Non
the individual
ultimo, il
tourists and
piano
groups
del
of tourists.
commercio,
And then the
sempre
last
come linea di
item
intervento
is
proposta, il
the
piano di commercio e
commercial
contrasto
plan
alle attività illegali a
and
questo
the
connesso. Beh, non è
fight against
solo
illegal
una presa di
activities.
posizione
Of course,
contro i
this isn't
singoli
just
venditori ambulanti
fighting
che vedete non solo a
against
Venezia, ma in
the
qualsiasi
salespeople that
città
you
d'arte
can see
italiana e
not only in
non, ma
Venice
un
but
qualcosa di
in
più grande.
other big
Cioè
cities too.
si
But we are doing
cercherà
something
di
more
fare, di
because we
mettere a
want to
sistema
reorganize
tutte quelle esperienze
all
sul campo del
the
contrasto alle attività illegali commerciali
activities to fight
che tanta
illegal
parte hanno avuto
activities
nella,
that have played a key
diciamo, nella
role
cultura di polizia
in
giudiziaria e di polizia di
the
prevenzione che
culture
c'è
of
stata a
law
Venezia
enforcement
negli
that we have
ultimi anni
had
proprio
in
su
Venice over the
questo
last few
settore.
years.
Ecco, con questo
So
io
with
credo di
this,
essere
I
stato
think
assolutamente in
I
parola e di non
have
essere
kept my
andato
promise.
lungo. Ecco,
And I
se ci sono domande
thank you
oppure
for your attention and
la mia
tell me if you have
relazione
questions.
può terminare. Vi ringrazio.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Grazie Carolina.
Thank you very much.
Progetto molto importante.
It's a very
tra l'altro,
important
mi
project.
permetterei anche di
And
rispondere
also,
a una
I would
sollecitazione
like
che lei ha dato. Riusciremo a
to
dare
say something about what you said. I
pianeta
mean,
migliore ai
will
nostri
we be
figli?
able to
Una
give a better
risposta ce l'ho
planet
già,
to
la
our
risposta è no,
children?
non riusciremo a
I
dare
already have an
ai
answer.
figli un
No,
pianeta
we will
migliore
not do
di
that. We
quello
will
che
not
abbiamo
offer a better
ricevuto, però
planet
possiamo
than
fare
the one that
una
we
cosa.
received, but we
Possiamo
can do
offrire
one
ai
thing.
nostri figli
We can offer
strumenti
our
per
children the
poter
tools
promettere loro di
to
dare ai loro figli
give
un pianeta
their
decisamente
children
migliore di
a
quello
far
che
better
hanno
planet
ereditato
than the one
da
that
noi.
they have inherited from
Siamo
us.
alla
So we are
conclusione.
at the
Qua c'è
end
scritto che
of
dovrei
our
concludere
meeting, so
io, mi
I am
sembra
supposed to conclude,
ampiamente,
and
inutile
I
farlo.
think it's, so
Non ho
to
cose
speak,
più
it's
intelligenti da
useless.
dire
It's not that
rispetto
I
a tutto
have
quello che ho
smarter
ascoltato.
things
Però ci
to
terrei
say,
a concludere
smarter than what
invitando
I
qua
have
accanto a
listened to,
me
but I would like to
Barbara
invite
Anchesso, che è
here
la
Barbara
project manager
Anchesso,
di
is the
tutto quello che
project manager
abbiamo.
around
È
all
improvvisata
what
la
we
cosa,
have
Barbara,
done.
perdonami.
Sorry if I'm improvising, Barbara.
Vieni accanto a me.
Please join me.
E mi piace concludere con...
And I would like to conclude.
Mi piace concludere con... usciamo anche fuori dall'ipocrisia, citiamo del tutto. Mi piace concludere con te questa
And I'm glad to conclude with you this long and intense morning. I have a couple of questions for you, so that we can enjoy our zero waste value. So this project has lasted for 4 years and embraced the beginning and hopefully the end of the pandemic. And in relation to what you have done, you have involved many people across Italy, and I would like to ask you how the perception of food waste has it changed with the pandemic? I would say that we moved more from the trying to reintroduce leftovers back in the cycle, like the doggy bag and things like that, to an approach which is trying to avoid that, because that's already a failure in itself. And therefore starting from planning, so sharing some values and principles. So I go back to the keywords we started with at the beginning of the morning. So that's very important. Because what matters is to make sure that people understand these kind of things. For instance, for young people, but also for children, if we teach already children, we can teach them behaviors that then they don't need to apply rationally, like saying now I'm saving food, etc. They just do that because that's part of their DNA. So that's important. So that's what we are trying to do. Because compared to the beginning, 2018, there are many more initiatives of this kind. Also thanks to some directives and guidelines and standards. But these initiatives are more numerous. For instance, the waste directive is changing the perspective, because we don't no longer talk about management but prevention. So for this project, so you put together a sort of sacred alliance with trainers that need to update their skills, and people who work in restaurants, and also students, young people, and also adults too.
Questa alleanza,
So,
diciamo, no? Si
what
scopre un
about
po'
this
la
alliance?
percezione
It
che c'è in questo
kind of
momento
clashes
di
with
lavoro
the
all'interno della
perception of
ristorazione. Tutti i giorni
work
vediamo
in
investiti da
restaurants,
notizie di
because we
ristoratori
see
che non trovano
all these restaurant
personale.
owners
Ecco,
who
voi
can't
siete dei
find staff.
formatori. Una suggestione che
So
mi
you're,
viene in mente di
you're
dire
trainers, and
non può
so
essere che
I have
mettere
a
i valori
suggestion.
della lotta
Probably
contro lo spreco alimentare o più in generale
the
dell'economia
values
circolare
of
della sostenibilità
food waste
all'interno delle
reduction,
competenze che servono
or
per poter affrontare anche questo lavoro, possa
teaching
anche mettere una maggiore
these
felicità
these people to avoid food waste, etc., can make people more happy to work. Well, I think that when you're working and you feel you're contributing to something that is good for all, you work with more satisfaction. And this is just a psychological, emotional implication. So certainly this can help. And certainly if we look at the people we trained, we have seen that actually this change was there. Let me just give you a very easy example that one of the trainers was giving us. In the beginning of the course, he would just leave the refrigerator open in a provocative way, and the students didn't react. But at the end, they would say, you have to close, so life foster, close the refrigerator. So this is quite telling. One last quick question. This is a European project, so we had the participation of many countries who told us how they interpreted it with very good results that have been achieved also in other gastronomic cultures. But do you think this can become a model, a platform for our country? Well, according to me, we have to be respectful of contexts. By this I mean that good practices are very useful and fundamental, yet they must be reinterpreted locally. And this is what we've tried to do by adapting the model to each context as it is to be applied in a proactive way. As far as the individual countries, since ENEP became part of the European platform of stakeholders of circular economy, I took that platform as an example because it's a good practice that is a sort of spin-off from the European circular economy platform, and they interpreted it very well at the national level, and so they created many groups of stakeholders for discussions. It's open and very flexible, and I think it's a good example. So if we think at the national level to start from the European food love and food waste platform to find local implementations, maybe not exclusively focused on food waste, but including food waste into a broader setting, such as a circular bioeconomy, we will have a chance to put together different stakeholders. And this is something that makes me very hopeful since I participated. Thank you very much. Thank you all. So we have to go to the first floor. Thank you.